Hey guys, Nathan from Everse here. Just going to run through a 10.1 inch installation today on this brand new 79 that we've got in. This is the doubled in unit. Obviously these come in a singled in unit as well, depending on the room you've got in your dash. Today we'll also be doing a reverse camera and a tyre pressure monitor system too. So we've got some trim pulling tools here. These will be available on the website. Essentially we're just going to want to pry this forward. There's no screws or bolts that retain this fascia on, so we can pop that off and then we'll get access to the screws and the bolts to basically unbolt this unit. So just like that, and then just unplug your plugs and get this out of the way. So these 70 series are a pretty simple installation, obviously minimal tooling required, obviously just 10mm bolts under your brackets, and then other than that you're just pulling this fascia off. So 10mm socket, undo these bolts, 4 bolts that hold the radio in. Something to just take note of is there is 2 different styles here. There's a screw and a bolt. The screw goes in the top into the plastic, and obviously the bolt threads into the bottom there where there's a metal thread for it. So we can pull that out. Essentially we just want to unplug it all. And once it's all unplugged, that's pretty much it. We will want to remove these brackets off the standard unit because we'll transfer them straight over to our new unit, and then it'll basically sit in there as it was. So we've just unplugged this adapter, which basically takes the factory Toyota harness to the factory radio. It's also got this for your aerial, which is basically converts the coax cable to a plug for the stock head unit. Once we remove that, we're pretty much left with like a standard coax type that'll plug straight into our unit. So we've got this ISO harness off the website, which basically converts the factory Toyota plug to like a standard ISO connector, which is what our head unit is going to plug into. So these ISO connectors plug straight into our Everse plug, like so, and then that's going to take the factory Toyota plugs to the plug we need for our head unit. So your two purples, 2 greens, you've got 2 whites, and the 2 greys are all your 4 speakers, and then the rest of it is power to the unit, earth. There's a light there, or there's a wire there to dim the dash when you turn the lights on, dim the screen, and then the blue is your trigger wire for your antenna. So that's all the wiring plugged in for the head unit. Obviously we're going to go ahead and install the reverse camera, so you're going to have this plug at the head unit. That's going to plug into that plug of the harness, like that. And then these 2 wires here, the pink and red, we're going to just join onto our orange back wire. And the other thing to note in this circumstance is our antenna wire is separate like this. So it's actually not into the ISO plug. This is just for certain scenarios in different vehicles. So essentially that means at the moment we don't have continuity to our factory blue wire. So we're just going to go ahead and splice that in like so and solder it. For the reverse camera end, we're going to have the 2 cables that plug in like that. And we've just got this power wire that we're going to pick up at the reverse lights, which is what triggers the camera to turn on the screen. So on the 70 series we can remove the trimming here just by carefully prying it up. Just a couple clips that hold it on. Underneath here, there's a rubber grommet that we're basically going to utilise. Put a little hole in. We're going to feed our reverse cable through there, and that way we can follow the rest of the wiring to the back of the car. So we've pulled our cable through here, and we're just going to squeeze it through the rubber grommet. And we can just sit that rubber grommet back in its spot, and then run that up to the head unit. So while we're here running this reverse cable to the head unit, we are also going to run the external microphone cable. Sort of kill 2 birds, 1 stone, and run it all in one hit rather than doing it twice. So we can peel this back, remove this trim here, and we're going to mount the microphone up top here somewhere so it's nice and clear and get good audio with the hands-free. 2 Phillips screws to remove this handle. Bad with presents. So we've run the microphone down like that. You can pretty much push that back now and then find a nice spot for that to click on. The other thing worth mentioning is the 2 4G boosters that come with the units. They are optional, you don't need to use them, but if you want to use them, we do see the best results mounting them to the pillars in the car. Generally mounting them behind the head unit works just fine too, which is what we're going to do today. So we've got all our wires now, everything's here. Got our external microphone, reverse cameras all hooked up, joined our 2 wires to our back wire here, and then all we're going to do is plug this one in here, and that's it. Antenna cable's also hooked up, and essentially all that's left to do now is plug everything in after we transfer the brackets over and put it all back together. All we're going to do now is remove the brackets from this old one and transfer them over to the new one. What you'll notice on this factory Toyota bracket is there is dimples here, and they will line up perfectly on these back 2 here to give you these 2 mounting points. There are another couple dimples at the front side that we're just going to take off just to make sure it sits nice and flush. So we've taken the other 2 dimples off, and then essentially that's going to sit in place nicely, and then we're just going to refix it with the bolts like so, and then move on to the other side. Brackets all on, we're going to go to the car and install it now. We're going to plug our GPS antenna in here, 2 4G boosters here, we've got the radio antenna and external microphone, and then obviously our power cable. None of the other RCA outputs will get used in this case, but if you've got a sub or an amp, then this is what they're for. This also has the option of running its own SIM card, so you can put a SIM card in here and use it as its own device and own internet basically. Then you've also got a USB cable here and another 2 outputs here. So there are extensions in the box that you can plug in and then run to wherever you want to run. You can also get like built-in switch panel USBs that you can run these to and then run them to a switch panel in the car. And we can go ahead and plug everything in. You'll notice the GPS one is a 90-degree fitting, and then our 4G boosters are straight fittings. External microphone, and don't forget your antenna, like so, and then we can plug the power in. And you just want to make sure that none of these cables interfere with any of the aircon controls below it. So obviously these are mechanical operating a cable. You just don't want to get any cables jammed in the way of that mechanism. So we can sit it there, and what we'll do is grab the screen and then we'll go test it. Just going to go ahead and put our bolts and screws back in. Plug the ribbon cable in, obviously using the locator there, and then make sure that the sides click in, and push that in, and we can click the screen on and check the depth. I think that's in a pretty good spot there. The only thing we might do is, if we adjust the clips on the back, we'll be able to move the screen up just slightly by moving them down one side. Push the fascia back in. That. So we've run the wiring just down to the back of the car along the factory harness. We're just doing some testing, make sure the reverse camera works. We've mounted it up here. It's a bit hard in this case because you've got the spare wheel. Be kind of good to get it a bit further back so you can see a bit more distance, but we still want to be able to get the tow ball as they'll be using it to hook the caravan up and whatnot. So we've mounted it here. It's not going to work too bad because we are still going to be able to see the tow ball, and we still got a reasonable distance behind us. So all we're going to do now is tidy this up in a bit of corrie, run it along here, and then hook our power wire up to the reverse cable. So this will be used basically just to trigger the camera to turn on when reverse is selected. Now we can turn the ignition on. If we select reverse, reverse camera pops up. Get the right one for which wheel, rear right. Going to take our Bluetooth reader in, plug it into the OBD2 port. In the Talk Pro app, we can click real-time information, and basically it's going to give you all the ECU data. And there you have it.